Hey, what's going on guys? This is Kedar here, and today in this video we have got the latest update on SNAP emergency allotment and PEBT update. And today in this video I'll bring you an latest update regarding this 29 states which have been approved so far for the SNAP emergency allotment for the January 2023. And also remember there are 6 additional states which are paying out right here in the month of December, and these allotments are going out right here in the January. So in total we have got 35 states which have been totally approved for the month of January. So without further ado, let's discuss all the dates in details. We all know that the SNAP emergency allotment would eventually end. However, unfortunately the SNAP emergency allotments are ending a lot sooner than you might expected. And there are a couple of important changes happening in the SNAP emergency allotments due to the bill that was passed by Congress. Okay, so let's start. Now unfortunately these states have already ended their COVID related emergency declarations, and therefore they have ceased issuing those SNAP emergency allotments. And those states include state of Missouri, Florida, Idaho, Montana, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Arizona, Kentucky, Iowa, Indiana, and Georgia. And last, Alaska. Unfortunately, these states have ended their benefits in the 2022, and then more recently, speaking of the list of states have been approved for the January, we have got total of 29 states for the January 2023. And speaking of the exact payout dates, so let's start off with the first important state, which is Alabama. Right here, Alabama will be starting up their benefits starting from January 31st all the way through the 1st of the February. Then California January 7th or January 13th for the December allotment. And speaking of the January allotment for California, February 4th or February 11th. So remember all these important dates for California. Then we got Colorado onto the list starting from January 8th going all the way until the January 13th. Speaking of the DC is on a regular issuance schedule. So looks like District of Columbia is onto a regular issuance schedule. Then moving forward, we got Hawaii onto the list. For the December allotment, it will be January 10th. Then for the January allotment, it's actually February 13th. Then we got Illinois onto the list starting from January 21st going all the way until the January 29th. Moving forward, we got Kansas for the December allotment starting from January 22nd going all the way until January 31st. Then speaking of the January allotment in the Kansas starting from the February 19th going all the way until February 28th. Next one is Louisiana. Louisiana starting from the January 7th, January 14th, January 21st or January 28th. Then also we got Maine onto the list. Maine will be sending out their benefits on January 10th, Maryland January 4th all the way through the January 23rd. Then Massachusetts will be sending out their benefits on January 3rd. Speaking of Michigan starting from January 21st going all the way through the January 30th. Continue to watch all those important dates. Then we got New Hampshire onto the list onto the January 3rd or January 20th. Then we got New York onto the list starting from January 12th going all the way through the January 27th. Then rest of the states in New York starting from January 9th going all the way through the January 23rd. Then moving forward, New Jersey starting from the January 1st going all the way through the January 5th. Then finally we got New Mexico onto the list. New Mexico starting from January 1st all the way through the January 31st. Then we got North Carolina starting from January 22nd all the way through the January 31st. Then finally we got Ohio starting from January 24th or the January 25th. Next one, Oklahoma onto the list January 10th going all the way through the January 15th. And now remember, Oregon will be distributing their payments in total of 3 rounds. Round 1 will begin on January 10th. Speaking of the round 2, January 30th. Speaking of the round 3, that will be happening on February 1st. So continue to watch all these important dates. Then moving forward, we got Pennsylvania starting from the January 18th going all the way through the January 31st. Then finally, Rhode Island will be sending out their benefits on January 4th, South Carolina starting from January 1st going all the way through the January 31st. Then next one we have the most important state, which is Texas. Texas will be sending out their benefits on January 3rd going all the way through the January 5th or January 9th through the January 10th. So continue to watch starting from January 3rd going all the way until January 10th for your benefits. Then next one we got Utah, January 28th, Virginia, January 16th, and Washington will be sending out benefits anywhere between January 1st through the January 20th. Then we got West Virginia, which will be on January 4th, and finally Wisconsin on January 21st. Then we also got Vermont onto the list, which will be on January 12th. Then moving forward right over here, we have got the sixth important state, which will be sending out their SNAP emergency allotment for the month of December right here in the month of January. Now remember, these states are usually 1 month behind, so these states, so they are a little bit delayed, but they will be sending out their benefits right here in the month of January. So starting off with the California starting from January 7th or January 14th. Then we got Hawaii starting from the December going all the way until January 10th. Then we got Kansas onto the list January 22nd through the January 31st. Finally we got Massachusetts, which will be sending out on January 3rd. Then we got Minnesota January 10th all the way through the January 31st. Then we got Vermont, which will be sending out on January 12th. And now guys, speaking of the most important detail, we all know that the SNAP emergency allotment would eventually end. However, unfortunately the SNAP emergency allotments are ending a lot sooner than you might expected. So let me go ahead about all the details. And there are a couple of important changes happening in the SNAP emergency allotments due to the bill that was passed by Congress, Omnibus Spending Bill, which has been passed on December 23rd. So let's discuss. Okay, so with the Omnibus Spending Bill that was passed by the Congress in the December 23rd of the last year, and this one includes transformational changes to the program that feed children in the summer months. But looks like the funding for these new permission are coming at the expenses of the supplemental nutritional assistance program benefit that we know as far. And unfortunately, looks like the Congress choose to fund these new investment in the child nutrition program by cutting the SNAP emergency allotments temporary increases in SNAP benefits that was originally implemented in the early COVID-19 pandemic to help out low-income households in order to afford their groceries, foods. And because of the bill that was passed, that omnibus bill passed in the December 23rd, looks like therefore SNAP benefits will be ending because of that bill. As per several credible websites, they are letting us know that extra SNAP benefits are ending soon. And what is exactly changing? Well, the extra SNAP payment, officially called SNAP emergency allotments, will end in the February 2023. Starting in the March, you will only get your regular SNAP payment loaded onto your EBT card in the first half of the month, and there will be no second payment later in the month. So that's the very important change happening in the SNAP benefits. And speaking of what you should do, well, without the extra SNAP benefit, your amount will be based on your income and the expenses program allows you to report. And now you need to report up-to-date information as soon as possible to start receiving those benefits for which you are eligible for. And you can keep your SNAP benefits on your EBT card as long as you want. You don't need to spend it all because of the SNAP benefits are ending. So you can use them as long as you want onto the card. Once every 9 months, you can use the card to keep it active. And if you find extra SNAP benefit is giving you a little more money for the food than you need to spend, you can save it and spend in a later month to provide a little wiggle room when the second payments end in the March 2023.